Co-main event of UFC 278, we have Aoriqileng, we have the Eraser. It's Paulo Costa looking to get his first win in about 3 years when he takes on Luke Rockhold, the former middleweight champ in the UFC and Strikeforce, looking to get his first win in almost 5 years. He got the big-time finish win over the former World Series double champ David Branch. He looked amazing, looked like the old Luke Rockhold. And then he took on two really tough fighters and lost in two really tough ways. And for Luke Rockhold, left hook Larry, it's a meme, it's out there, it is what it is. But for Rockhold, he struggles with left-handed attacks on the pullback like he does with figuring out what to do with his hands in the crowd at UFC events.
You know what I'm going to say? Luke Rockhold might be Fat Joe's favorite fighter because he hits him with the lean back.
He loves
lean back.
But if you do look at it, I mean, for Paulo Costa's last time out, he tried to do the Nick Diaz, fooled ya. We're just going to fight at 205. Let's just do it. Took on Marvin Vettori. You could make a case for the first round. He won the second round, but there was an eye poke where he lost a point. And in the fifth round, he started to pour it on Marvin Vettori. So an interesting look for Paulo Costa. His last bit of action against Vettori was about 9.5 months ago. Before that, almost 2 years ago, against Israel Adesanya, where it looked like Paulo had no answers. Now, did he get into the wine a little bit too much before the fight?
That was the story.
Allegedly. But for Paulo, physically looks pretty damn good on his Instagram. And I'm sure they're not going to show you bad pictures, but
it's a cold day in hell when Paulo Costa looks bad, I'd say, on Instagram.
He looked pretty good over there. He looks like he's got a champ camp built around him, like 5 guys massaging his shoulders. He looks like Ramses on Nacho Libre, like Ramses' legs is the best. His arms are the best. That was such a good movie. But if you look at it for Paulo Costa, it's all built around him for the Eraser. It's weird, right? Because, I mean, for Luke Rockhold, he was doing the damn thing in the mid-2000s. For Paulo Costa, 2017 was his year. I mean, the win over McClellan of EFC fame, the win over Oluwale Bamboje, the win over Johnny Hendricks capping it off at UFC 217, where Michael Bisping was losing his middleweight title to George St. Pierre on the same card. An interesting run for Paulo Costa. The win over Uriah Hall, the win over Yoel Romero. And people will tell you, well, Paulo Costa beat Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero knocked out Luke Rockhold and kissed him on the west side of Australia like it was a movie. So Paulo Costa's going to win. I'm here to tell you, I don't know why Luke Rockhold's in this matchup, simply because of the injuries. I mean, obviously the knockout woes.
The brittle chin and the poor striking defense.
The long time away, the shin injury that, you know, he had to keep covered up by like a Teflon sleeve when he fought Jan Blachowicz only to get knocked out. Like, he got knocked out. Like, he went down
hit 3 more times.
And then, the referee's trying to go in, and Jan's like,
feeding it to him.
Hold me back, ref. And he's feeding him the right. Just boom, boom, boom. So it is an odd matchup for me because for Costa, while he didn't beat Vettori at 205, I thought he still looked serviceable. And for Luke Rockhold, I haven't seen that guy in almost 5 years.
I'm worried about the weight cut for both guys to 185, if I'm being completely honest. Like you said, Costa kind of pulled a trap card, and he was like, hey, if we're fighting at light heavyweight, that'd be a lot cooler. And everyone, Dana White included, was like, sure, we'll let you. Who cares? And good on Marvin Vettori for taking the fight. Like, he is a bad MFer for doing that, and he was able to win, so good for Vettori. But still, Paulo Costa showed a very good gas tank in that fight. And that's something I've been saying his whole entire career. Paulo Costa doesn't have a cardio issue. He might have a pacing issue sometimes, but that's very different than a guy who can't fight at a high pace for extended periods of time. If you go back to the Yoel Romero fight, that's one of the craziest fights of all time where he hurts Romero early. Romero hurts him back early in the first round. And then Costa marches him forward for the next 10 minutes. And I know we got tired in the last 3-4 minutes of that fight, but anybody on the face of the earth would have got tired under a pace like that against a guy like Yoel Romero. But what I do like out of Costa is that he can land power shots from the first minute of a fight, even into the 25th minute of a fight, to give him that luxury against Marvin Vettori. They might not necessarily be knockout strikes, but listen, Marvin Vettori has a much better chin than Luke Rockhold ever has. And the thing about Rockhold is that he's good enough in the stand-up to think he is a stand-up fighter, but it completely ignores the best part of his game, which is his offensive grappling, and even his defensive grappling off his back is absurd. He can hit you with sweeps, he has triangle chokes, he has arm bars. This is one of the better pure grapplers in the division, but it feels like he almost forgets that in some of his fights and relies on his striking to hurt his opponent, and then he can start to go after some of the grappling exchanges, like he did against Michael Bisping in their first fight. Hurts him with a question mark kick, and then as there's a scramble afterwards, he gets him in that one-arm guillotine. That's where Luke Rockhold does succeed, but but Paulo Costa is extremely durable, can take shots to the body and to the head. I do worry about him a little bit at that kicking range because Israel Adesanya was able to have success against Costa with the leg kick, which is something Luke Rockhold does excel at. The difference is when Costa did move forward against Adesanya, there'd be a feint, there'd be a strike that would meet him halfway that would deter him. I don't think Luke Rockhold has the volume that can really stop Costa from moving forward, and I don't know how he's going to deal with the pressure if he isn't able to get a takedown. Maybe he could get a body lock takedown. Those are something he is pretty good at, but Paulo Costa hasn't shown poor enough takedown defense in the past for me to think, oh, Luke Rockhold's going to be able to go out there and just kind of Tim Boach him, just outclass him in a lot of different areas, look like the much more technical guy, because Paulo Costa's knockout power is almost a disservice to how technical he is. Like, Jerry West said that about Kevin Durant. You're a great scorer, Kevin, so people are never going to care about the other parts of your game. Paulo Costa's a pretty technical fighter for being this big muscle-bound guy who you think just goes in there and throws big hooks.
Matt, for Luke Rockhold, I mean, he was supposed to take on Sean Strickland last year, out due to what was described as herniated disc. He had the shin issue. Was it a check kick in the Romero fight? Seemed like it was, and then the surgery went a little awry. But if you do look at it, for this camp, he's been training at AKA, at Killcliff FC, formerly Sanford MMA, as well as Ruka Sport with Jason Perillo. Jason Perillo, coaching Marlon Vera, coached Michael Bisping to a title. Michael Bisping, Luke Rockhold, actually training in real life.
They're boys now. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird as Luke Rockhold's hands. Not like Uncle Jack, but still pretty weird. Matt, Costa open to minus 260 favorite, minus 284 right now on best fight odds. For Luke Rockhold, open plus 222. Plus 225 as it stands. We have a look at Tapology. The Tapology votes are a surprise us they are to you. But like a lot of these fights, I'm going to say over under 85% Paulo Costa.
I'll say over.
I'm going to say over. It is over. 914 total votes, 89% Costa, 91% by knockout for the 11% that have Rockhold, 41% by decision, 27% by knockout, 25% by submission. I would think Luke Rockhold would want to grapple in a matchup like this, but I don't think he is going to. I think he's going to strike, and I think Paulo Costa is going to beat him in the striking.
I'm sorry, but this is a terrible fucking matchup for Luke Rockhold. Like, you could have given him a lot of other guys in the top 15 of the middleweight division, and he probably would have looked good against
Brad Tavares. Make him fight Brad
exactly.
Tavares.
A guy who has, a good skill set, who's foundationally sound.
He just got beat pillar to post.
He did by Dricus
Pulp
Duplessis. But you get the idea. Even if you did
Edmund
Duplessis,
Shabazian. Give him
Edmund hasn't looked good for a while either. So if you did like Duplessis, though, is a good example. Like, Duplessis has good power, but he is kind of wild. He's very awkward. He's the type of guy that Luke Rockhold could take advantage of with his grappling. With Paulo, he's not very unbalanced when he throws his shots, and that's what Luke Rockhold relies on to get his takedowns. He's not a traditional wrestler to where he gets a single leg and chain wrestles you to the cage and then double legs you from there. He relies on guys being off balance. He'll trip them up. He likes a lot of takedowns from the clinch. And Paulo Costa, his physical strength does help him a lot in those clinches, and he's very offensive from the clinch too. He likes the uppercut, he likes the left hook. These are all strikes that have hurt Luke Rockhold in the past. Even go back to his title winning fight against Jacare. We're going way back to Strikeforce. He got hurt every time Jacare landed on with power on him. The difference was Rockhold had enough volume at that time to still make it competitive on the feet, and he was able to win the decision. I don't think he's going to have that luxury against Costa. I think he's going to get hit with a lot of body shots. And the reason I brought up the weight just problem for both guys is because Costa had his last fight at 205. Does anybody remember when Luke Rockhold sounded like he had rocks in his throat when he weighed in against Yoel Romero and openly admitted, like, hey, this weight cut is killing me now? I said this about Dan Hooker when he went from featherweight to lightweight and then back to featherweight. Cutting weight doesn't get easier as you age, and you normally change divisions for a reason. There's a reason Luke Rockhold went up to 205 to fight Jan Blachowicz. It was because the weight cut was getting very difficult for him at 185, so I'm a little worried about what version of Rockhold we're going to get at 37, almost 38 years of age, going back down to 185. I think that's going to be an interesting talking point for this fight.
What did Rockhold dirtier, the weight cut to 185 or the fact that he ends the Strikeforce era as the champ? He's supposed to fight for the title, and they went, hey, here's Vitor Belfort. Good luck.
Goes for the Wild West pre-USADA Vitor Belfort days, and boy, did he look good in that fight.
Vitor Belfort. Go back and watch the fights, because they are the highlight reel. Both of us going with Paulo Costa, the eraser, to get the win in this matchup. Big-time main event. 6 years, 8 months, and 1 day in the making. We have Kamaru Usman taking on Leon Edwards. Both guys on incredible rolls. You're not going to want to miss. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.